Welcome everybody. We are so thrilled to have you here, and it is my honor now to take a few more minutes and invite up a very special guest to join us on the stage. He doesn't need an introduction for everyone in this room, I'm sure, but we're going to learn more about the U.S. Travel Association from its CEO and President, Roger Dell. Roger. How are you, buddy?
How you doing, Fred?
All right, so did you bring your sequin wedding gown?
I tell you, I got the shoes, but I'm working on the gown.
Thank you for coming here. I know everyone in this room, and especially us Americans, are really honored to have you here. And since it is an international audience, 49 countries here from around the world, they may not all be familiar with the U.S. Travel Association. So you want to tell us a little bit about the organization and your mission?
It's really simple. Our whole mission is to get more people traveling to the United States and within the United States. That's all we care about. More people, all people, traveling to and within the United States.
And it's such a statement to have you here, because all are welcome. And that's an important message that we want everyone in the world to know about the United States. Tourism is such an important sector for our government and for our community and for our economy. Talk a little bit about the key initiatives that you have underway today. You have a lot on your plate. It's a big country. There's a lot of things happening. And it's a big industry that your team does an amazing job to protect and grow every year. But what's going on?
Several things we're working on. One is, many of you are familiar with Brand USA. Those of you from outside the United States have your own marketing organizations. Hard to believe, but 8, 9 years ago, the United States didn't have one. Everyone says, well, everyone knows the United States. Well, yeah, everyone knows Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Delta Airlines, everyone knows them, but they all market. So we started something called Brand USA, but our government, and part of my job is to keep the government from doing stupid things, and that's a full-time job. But that's really my priority. There's no media here, is there? No, anyway. So, but we started Brand USA, but it's only authorized for 5 years at a time. So President Obama signed it into law in 2009, 5 years through 15. Now it's authorized again through 2020. So now the job is to get it reauthorized again. And it's something that the challenge in the U.S. is it's so logical that it's hard to get people to understand it because they do such a great job. So that's important. The next thing is the whole ability to get visas from around the world. We're concerned if we see things slowing down a little bit from perhaps China, and we need to have better processing of visa. We need more visa waiver countries. Great example is when there were 27 visa waiver countries back in the 80s, and now there's 38. When South Korea went in the visa waiver program, South Korea went from 450,000 to 800,000 visitors in 1 year. They're now over 2 million, and it's just a matter of how important it is. So we're really trying to get like visa waiver status for Brazil, Israel, Poland, which will make a huge difference. Another thing we're working on is to get people through the whole process. I mean, we right now have 81 million international visitors. Well, I asked one of my economists, I said, what happens when we get to 100 million to airports? She says, well, that's another 5,000 people a day at Kennedy, another 4,000 at Miami, another 4,000 LA. Can you imagine? So we've got to get technology. We've got to get facial recognition. We've got to get the whole world moving better, which points to infrastructure. A big priority of ours is infrastructure. Our infrastructure is not kept up, and it's a problem. 25 years ago, we had the best airports in the world in the United States. This year, we really don't have one that's rated in the top 25 according to customers. There's new airports opening every day around the world. So we've got to improve that infrastructure so people can get and to travel. So, you know, they're the big priorities we have. And national parks, our national parks, which are international visitors and U.S. visitors love, to make sure that they're kept up, and there's a lot of deferred maintenance on them. So the whole thing is anything that can help people travel, trusted traveler programs. We're pushing very hard for more people in TSA PreCheck, more people in global entry, and more countries in global entry, and more pre-clearance. Pre-clearance is great. When you come in from country to pre-clearance, you clear, you get to Manhattan, and you just move on. So there are priorities, but all around, anything to get more people traveling and to and within the United States.
Yeah,
That's
it's so
what we do.
important.
Yeah.
I mean, and you have the biggest voice when it comes to that. So we thank you for
We're
championing
the United Voice, actually.
all those causes. Absolutely. And of course, this is IGLTA in the LGBT market, one of my favorite markets, I'm selfish to say. But 7 million travelers to New York this year from this community. What does that mean to you and to U.S. travel and your various programs?
Well, I think it's such a phenomenally important market. I had the opportunity to speak to this group several times. I remember an earlier meeting, it could have been about this big, it was in Fort Lauderdale. And then I remember being in St. Petersburg, and now here you set a record, John and you and everyone being here in New York. And I think it's so important because this is a segment of travel that, one, not only in numbers, but spending. I mean, the spending, if you really look at what this market spends, it is huge. And that's a big opportunity. And it goes beyond that because where this market goes, go the great restaurants, goes the great entertainment. It all seems to come together. And so this is so important because this market is a driver of so many other things that everyone gets to enjoy.
Yeah, it's not surprising we set the trends, right?
Yeah.
We go first, the others follow. So it is really important, I think, from a product development standpoint. So just speaking about that, and I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about the political climate in the country and the current administration and its impacts on our business. Talk to us about the stances that you've taken and how you keep tourism at the front of the agenda, because I know just opening those lines of communication are so important. And you've done an incredible job of building those bridges. You have to do that with each administration. You have to start over again and build that rapport. But talk to us a little bit about that, the current climate, and how you've been responding.
Well, I've been out of D.C. for 24 hours. Is there a problem going on?
question.
I don't know. I must have missed something.
I got to look at my tweets.
No.
Yeah.
When you talk about political climate, and it goes, the great thing about travel is we wear the white hat. We're the good guys, we're the good ladies, and no one can be against travel, but oftentimes things happen. I'll give you a great example. President Obama, who I call the travel president, President Obama, he was in office for maybe 2 weeks, and he said, you can't go to Las Vegas for the Super Bowl on the taxpayer's dime. Well, everybody piled on against travel, and we ended up meeting with the president and talking about that, and he said, I get it. And also I watched President Obama go to having a national travel and tourism strategy and bring all the groups together to set a goal of having 100 million travelers come into the U.S. and really getting behind that happening. Now we've got a new president, President Trump. I met with President Trump on September the 4th with several CEOs. And I said to him, Mr. President, I said, we're falling behind. We're growing when it comes to international travel. We're growing about 2-3%. But the rest of the world is growing by 4 to 8%. Spain is even growing more. So I said, we're falling behind, we're losing share. I thought I'd get his attention on that. And I said, and the challenge we have is you've been talking so much about security. Well, security is important. I said, of course it is. This is job number one for travel. Without security on 911, we know what happened 9/11. This industry came to its knees in 1 hour. And the U.S. economy followed in 30 days. And the world economy followed in 6 days. So you see how tight we are. And I said, but we're not hearing from you the welcome message. And you got to do that. And that little share, I'll put some perspective for you, Fred. We got 13.7% of share of the global travelers, of the long-haul travelers in 2015. Now, 2015, no one knew who was running for president, whether it was Hillary or whether it was, no one knew. But we started going down at that time. And why? The dollar got very strong. Travel follows dollars, and where it's a great value, people will go. So it got more expensive. Second thing, some weaker economies. You saw Latin America, parts of South America, parts of Europe, where the economies got a little weaker. And something no one talks about is the proliferation of low-cost carriers in Europe. So all the Ryanairs, EasyJets, Norwich, and all the aircraft they're buying with all these deals. And so you put that together, then you layer on top of an administration that doesn't have the welcome message. And I said, Mr. President, I said, let me tell you something. I said, that little 2%, we're now at 11.7% share. That 2% that we've lost is 120,000 jobs. And I said, now you talked about how excited you were about manufacturing coming back to you. You talked about a Toyota plant of 4,000 employees. That 2% is 30 Toyota plants. And the plants are already built. The airports are there, the museums are there, the hotels are there. And so it's to get his attention. And I said, all I want to know is who do we work with? And so now we're working with Larry Kudlow as Chief Economic Advisor. And I'll tell you, it's tough because, let me put U.S. politics in perspective. When the Travel Promotion Act passed the first time, George Bush was president, and it passed 300 and something to 92 against it. And then the financial crisis hit, and we couldn't get it through the Senate, because the Senate and the House have to vote on it. And then Obama was elected. Obama said, I will get it to the floor, and he did in March. And it passed the same, almost identical, 300 something to 93 against it. We didn't change one I, one T, one comma, one period. What was different? The 92 people against it when George Bush was president were all Democrats. The 93 people who were against it when Obama was president were all Republicans, and that's the problem. We're so polarized, and this, we got to bring them together. And what I applaud as a group in this room is you're bringing people together. You're showing what it is to have a united voice, and I think we've got to do more of that in travel.
Well, you're doing a great job, and I know you have to reach across the aisles.
Yep.
You know, it is all about building consensus, no matter what your party or background, and tourism works for America. And so thank you for raising that voice. And one of the things that has always dawned on me is travel and tourism can't be exported. This hotel can only exist in New York. You can't pick this hotel up and move it to another country. So I mean, our jobs are important to the local economy, and they're here to stay. So thank you for that.
Well, another thing, you know, when you're talking about this industry, I think we make a mistake of talking too much to ourselves, about ourselves, and record numbers and things like that. But you realize we're the front door to economic development. You look at New York City here, or anywhere in the United States, or anywhere in the world, people decide to go to a college based on they've taken a trip there once. Oh, I'd like to. People decide to take a career or move a company somewhere. Real estate. I asked the National Association of Realtors, I said, do you know how much real estate in the United States is owned by people who don't live in the United States? They said, we just did a study, 52 billion a year. $52 billion. Entertainment. So everything's tied into this fulcrum. I was talking to the governor of Florida and about supporting travel and tourism. He said, yeah, it's our number 2 economy in Florida. I said, you're wrong. He said, no, agriculture is number 1. I said, why don't you count all the steaks and all the lettuce the tourists eat? And you'll see it's not, you go, oh, wow, you're right. It is number 1.
It's fast. I mean, it's true. It's a great point. And speaking of states, talk to us a little bit about boycotts and what they do. And I know it's a contentious issue for a lot of people because it really pulls on passions, but it's detrimental to our industry in many ways.
There's no question about it. People have looked for leverage no matter what the issue might be. And it might be an issue with this community. It might be an issue about guns. It might be an issue about abortion. But they say, I've got it. We can use travel to leverage people. And these boycotts came. We saw them in North Carolina. We've seen them in different cities. We've seen it's going on in parts of Texas right now. And people use this industry. And the challenge is with a boycott is, number one, the people who usually are pushing for boycotts are so well-intentioned in some ways of trying to push a good cause, but they're putting all these people out of work. What's happening is we try and say, the people you're hurting, it's you know, when there's a boycott, no one in this room is going to be out of a job, but housekeepers, bellmen, restaurant people, waiters, waitresses, people need these jobs, are going to be out of jobs, and they hurt these people. We did a study because we tried to look at these boycotts and said, are they effective? Unfortunately, they are. The study we did with 2,500 people, and we went out to 2,500 meeting planners, 77% says it makes no difference, they wouldn't change their mind. 16% said they'll choose to go somewhere else or go somewhere else. And that is big money. So we have to stand up, we've got to have backbone, we've got to say this is wrong, don't use this industry, and we've got to take it out on people who are going to, we've got to get a voice, we've got to stand up and say, you can't do this. You're hurting your community and you're hurting yourselves, you're shooting yourselves in the foot. So these boycotts, we had a great session with the foundation this morning and talking about that, and one of the things I said, why don't we, the next time we get together, talk about boycotts, because we really have to solve this. We cannot be the easy prey for anyone with a cause. We've got to fight this because it's so harmful, and it takes so long to get back when someone goes in the wrong direction, because these conventions are planned so far out. So you get a convention that's saying, we're not going to go to North Carolina, and that may be something that's planned in 2023. And so you don't get them back. You're out of the cycle. So these boycotts are a real problem, and we got to do everything we can together to not let that happen.
Yeah, it'd be great if we could find another way to pressure these politicians rather than hurting people in our own industry that rely on these jobs. I totally agree with you. And I feel like, I mean, this is my personal opinion, I feel like I want to go to those places. I want them to get to know me. I want them to get to know my friends and my family and whoever I love, and see that, you know, I'm your neighbor, I'm your doctor, I'm your, you know, what have you, your client. So I think it is important that we have a real dialogue.
I think that's what travel does. Someone on the video said, "Where's the sunshine?" The sunshine's in this room. When you look at the people, and people travel and get to know each other, and you realize, you know, we're all alike. You know, you're all like, and you know, we all have families. We all want to do better. We want our kids to do better. We want our relatives to do better. We want to have a decent. We're all alike. And travel does that. Mark Twain, gosh, how long ago? Mark Twain said it best. He said, travel is fatal to bigotry, prejudice, and narrow-mindedness. And it's so true. Travel is the one thing that can really bring this world together. I go to, you know, I go to ITB or WTM, and I marvel I look at countries that are at war. But the people in our industry are sitting there talking, where are we going to dinner tonight? And it's very interesting how this industry is so different, and we probably can be the best answer to bringing people together, and we just flex our muscles a little more.
I couldn't agree with you more. And in closing, I know we have to get on with the rest of the program, but talk to us about one of your biggest programs, IPW. You've done a wonderful job. I know a lot of the LGBT journalists in this room attend. You've been growing the numbers that are there. A lot of the buyers come. But talk to us about IPW and what a powerful tool it can be to extend that welcome even more.
IPW, and that's what we basically decided, all right, U.S. government, if you're not going to welcome people, we are. So the theme started with IPW is welcome, and all the different destinations took on the welcoming message we're getting out there. Put in perspective, now my colleague Malcolm Smith is here. He'll be with all weekend with you. That is really the person who runs IPW, and I don't even know how Malcolm does it. It's just amazing.
He does an amazing job.
We get over 6,000 people come from 70 countries around the world, 500 members of media from 70 countries telling the story of different destinations, and it's sort of like speed dating for travel if you haven't been there. We do 110,000 20-minute appointments, someone sitting down from Germany with Disney. What if I buy 500,000 tickets? What's the story? Hey, Hilton in New York, I want 30 rooms a night or 50 rooms a night that I can package. We do about $4.5 billion of future travel. Like IPW is coming up this June in Anaheim. It's going to be spectacular. They're talking right now, not about 2020, but they're talking about 2021 travel. And the other thing, I think why IPW is so important too, because you're talking 2 years ahead, and we're riding a crest right now in this industry. We have something like 118 straight months of growth in the travel industry. 118 straight months. Nothing lasts forever. We're going to go through a downtime. That's where this is so important to have those contracts in the future, have those people come to the United States. And so, as I say, it's speed dating, 120,000 appointments, but then it's fun. People at night, you know, get together and Disney's throwing the opening party, and Star Wars, their new attraction, is opening the day before. That's not a coincidence. I'd like to see the overtime that Disney spent on this thing to get ready for IPW. But the parties at night, when we had the swine flu and all that going on, our people, IPW was coming up and they said, I'll tell you what, let's tell people not to shake hands, not to touch. I said, you ever been to IPW? You ever been to international events? Come on, they hug, this is who we are. But it's going to be fabulous. So if you get a chance, if you're not going to be there, you ought to be there, because it is just going to be one heck of an event. Well,
I thank you on behalf of everyone in this room for being here. Just your presence alone is important. It signifies the power of this industry and how important it is to the United States. So thank you for that. And thank you for building a bigger tent and including everyone in it, because I agree with you. This group can help build bridges.
Let's hear for this guy, smoothest guy in our business. I mean, he's unbelievable.
I learned from the best. Thank you, Roger. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Great.